What up, brothers? It's Clip King returning for a really quick upgrade video. As you can see, the figures in front of you are both the DX12 Batman. Anybody who's been a long-term subscriber to my channel or remember seeing, I did a video called the modification of the DX12. In that video I showed I'd got three versions of this figure. And I wanted to show you how I went from stock to the modifications that I've done, which were basically, if I just whisk through, this were the stock one. If you remember, I painted the under the eye section because it is actually pink on the stock one. I did some black washing to the face plates. I shortened the neck post, if you remember. I swapped out the capes to the Tony May capes, which you can see both have, obviously. I sort of steamed to soften the armour and then tightened it around his body, if you remember. I sort of stretched the bottom section of the gauntlet so it would go over the fist section. I also trimmed the fist down, cut the it has a sculpted sort of a band around the top that ties. I cut that all down, filed it so that it would go inside the gauntlet, which made it look movie accurate. On one set of the gauntlet I removed the spikes, so this one which I have in a boxing pose, whereas on the back of this one you can see it does still have the spiked bit of plastic. On this one I stretched the belt a little bit so it would sag a little bit lower, where on this one I did it but it didn't come out quite as well. So yeah, as you can see again, on this one the gauntlets do go down onto the hand sculpt, which is movie accurate to the Dark Knight Rises. So it was basically just a little bit of modification of which were already an awesome figure. Like I mentioned, I will lucky enough to get a couple of the Tony May capes, which are totally essential. If you've got this figure without a Tony May cape, then don't look at it its best. The stock cape, don't touch it at all. It don't fall right. So you need to swap the cape out. That is a must. But if you remember me saying, I'd also got the Tony May custom cowl, which is sort of the DX12 cowl, but it has the eye surround pulled out and then sort of re-sculpted to make it look like it's more squinty. So if you look at the size of the sort of the visible eyes, you can see the one on the left is closer to stock. The one on the right is the Tony May custom cowl. I will also say this one has a cut down Bruce Wayne head for the mouth plate. Also it has been black washed, so it is quite individual. Now the reason I'm making this video is because I've gone another step with these figures, which is still one of my favourite figures in the collection. And just to answer as well, because someone will be saying, why have you got two? To be honest, I have only got one complete DX12 with the box and everything. It's completely, I don't know, a complete figure. But then I've got the additional body and suit. I've got the empty cowl. Well, I've got a couple empty cowls. I've got the Bruce Wayne heads and blah, blah, blah. I do keep two because sometimes I will pose one of them with the Bruce Wayne head, with the sticky bomb gun and that sort of thing. So everything you can get for the Hot Toys Batman, I have been lucky enough to pick up. So all my options are there when it comes to posing. The last thing I needed to pick up, and I have seen in pictures and looks awesome, is this, what's arrived today. And a massive thanks to Mark Alexander for sending me this. You will know what it is. I have opened it earlier to check it out, but I just wanted to show you guys. Just check out the bubble wrap. It is the Armory head sculpt. Now you can tell from pictures alone that it is an awesome head sculpt. The face plates are sort of totally stand out from the DX12. It did come with the no neck peg and the, excuse me, hands, and the spare mouth plate, so we'll show you those. And I just think this was the last piece, missing piece of the jigsaw, which I needed to have my my Batman setup looking fresh. So that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to compare it to the stock head. I'm going to put it on one of my Batmans. I'm going to compare it to the stock head. I'll compare it to the Tony May squinting sculpt, and then you guys can decide for yourself what your thoughts are. So like I said, just to talk about how I got it, I actually bought this head from Loon 10 Toys, the eBay seller, probably mid-January. It took more than 6 weeks before I could go into I opened a case on eBay. It never came. It gave me a tracker number, which worked. It never left China. So I had to wait and wait and wait. I then claimed my money back. He then told me he'd send me another one. So I waited. He never sent the second one, although he sent me another tracker number. In end, I let eBay get me my money back. And then the second one he sent, I think he redirected post back to himself. So I was then still on lookout for this head. Mark had, luckily, he picked it up, I think from the same seller, but I could be wrong. But he's decided to sell his DX12. I says, well, if the guy who buys your DX12 doesn't want this head, I don't mind paying you for it, so to speak. And he says, well, let me wait and see if the deal goes through. Anyway, somebody wanted the DX12 but didn't want the additional head, or didn't want to pay the extra to get this head. We discussed the price. I paid him straight away and he sent it, and it's arrived today, and I'm buzzing to have it because I knew I wanted it, but it was just a fucking nightmare to try and get one. So what I'm going to do is, I will say, this is a minty fresh neck peg. As you remember, my neck pegs are filed down, so they sit lower into the body. I'm actually going to put this head on my neck pegs and show you what my Batmans look for. I think first I'll swap out that one. So I'll show you stock against the armory one, and then I'll compare the armory against that when it's on a figure. So bear with me and let me do a quick change around. Right, so as you can see, this is the one that's closest to stock. Again, remember, it's not actually stock. If you bought one crispy fresh from Hong Kong or from somewhere on eBay, it wouldn't look like that. Like I've said before, my eyes have been darkened underneath, so I've completely blacked out the visible flesh that was showing stock, and I also blackwashed the mouth, which is a little bit washed out because of the light from this camera. So yeah, there is that. It's not completely stock, but it's the closest sculpt I've got to stock. If we move across to this one, this is the stock armory one. This one, to me, and looked at in pictures and it looks at in hand, it looks like the shrunk down version of the 1/4 scale one, which is an awesome head sculpt. It really does look like Christian Bale or Bruce Wayne under the cowl. The cowl shape is slightly different. If I move away, you can see the one on the right looks a little bit slimmer, a little bit smoother and all on the angles. The face plates are definitely better, a lot more natural, lot more realistic. The paint, again, this is the neutral face plate. I will show you the different plates. But yeah, I think it is definitely an improvement over the stock DX12. Don't think you've got to be a genius to see that. So now I'll swap it off and compare it to the Swinton sculpt from the Tony May conversion. So again, here we go. Like I said before, these are sitting on my neck pegs. So my neck pegs have been, shortened a little bit. And I will say, now this head is on this body, the neck looks a little bit too short. Yeah, it does on that one. So if I were displaying it on that one, I would probably use its own neck peg because it does look a little bit short on that. Then again, I've got a dip forward a bit as well, so it might be that. But again, this is the armory head with the neutral faceplate. And that's the Tony May conversion one. Try and get them in one shot for you. Again, I would say the armory one is the more realistic of the two, although I like the fact that not everybody has got the one on the right hand side. What I'll do is get all three shot together off the bodies. So there you see them. Obviously left is stock, middle is armory, and the right is the conversion. You will notice on the conversion one as well, it looks like the cowl has also been sort of blackwashed. I can't remember if I did that or if it came like that. I've had the figure quite a while, but yeah. I do think as well, on the conversion head, I do think the faceplate does look quite good on that. I think the weaker of the faceplates would be the one on the left, the one closest to stock that's being blackwashed. Again, the one on the left, the eyes look a little bit too wide open. I think the one in the middle is really accurate. And I also, like I said, I like the exclusiveness of the one on the right hand side. So what I'll do is I'll put all three new faceplates on and show you the three different heads with the new faceplates, just to show whether they fit naturally or not. Right, so having now swapped out all three sculpts, have the teeth showing. And again, really well painted. Do still look like Christian Bale or Bruce Wayne, whatever you want to say. Although, I will say, and I've probably said this before, watch the colour of teeth change when I get closer. You see, go really bright white. What you're getting is the reflection of the camera light, so it's not as white as that's looking. Now, I think the faceplates do improve all three sculpts, if I'm honest, because they do look natural. But what I would say is, they do sort of protrude out of the mouth opening on all three sculpts, which I think looks a little bit like the mouth is sort of a little bit chimpish. But I think it makes it also look really accurate, because it looks as if the mask surrounding the mouth section is sort of cutting into his flesh, which would happen if the mask were as tight as it's supposed to be. So yeah, I do think it looks good on all three sculpts. I think it really, really works on that one as well, because the eyes are like tightly closed. I think if you got him in an action pose, that one would really work. So yeah, that's the difference. They're your options. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm not saying I will answer them, but just you can still do it, or don't if you choose not to, whatever you want to do. Not much more I can think of saying. I'll probably just set the two figures back up and show you that what I'm going to be rocking. So just moving up, show you how I'll display them. And I'll go for something like that. You see, I've got the Tony May head conversion one with the teeth grit from the new face plates. Just throwing it right across. Fits the figure really well, so if you're looking from it from there, looking pretty beastly. And then this one, a lot more neutral. The armory head with the neutral face, pretty much eyes up, looking like so. Cape wrapped around him, quite nice. So again, massive thank you to Mark Alexander for sending me this head. Massive shout out to you guys for keep watching my videos. I hope you've enjoyed that quick update. But for now, it's the Clipper King, and I'm out of here.